Everyone, welcome back here to Weather on the Go. My name is Hunter. On this Thursday, August the 21st, 2025, a major weather pattern change with a powerful cold front will bring colder temperatures to the United States and a frost and freeze risk as well for some. We're also going to be looking at your severe weather forecast as some heavy rainfall is also expected as we go into the weekend and into next week as the pattern change commences. We're also going to be looking at your tropical weather update. So again, make sure that if you are subscribed to the channel that you have your post notifications turned on so you're notified for future videos and live streams. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so down below. We do daily weather forecast breakdowns. Like the video if you like it, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. Comment any comments down below in the comment section. So let's look here at our powerful cold front. Occluding low pressure up here in southern Canada will drive a powerful cold front down into the upper Midwest by Saturday. Sunday, the cold front is all the way down here toward the lower Mississippi Valley, and by early next week, it'll be moving off the eastern seaboard and down toward the Gulf Coast. So a lot of us in the eastern 2/3 of the United States will be dealing with a rather strong front, and a Canadian high pressure system behind it will promise some cooler air, lower humidity, and lots of sunshine, as Canadian high pressure typically brings a lot of drier air with it, which would push that storm track further to the south. Now, here are your temperature anomalies towards the end of this weekend. This is what we can look forward to. In the greens, we are talking temperature anomalies up to 20 degrees below normal of where we should see them for late August standards. And we have a ridge, though, in the short term. So once we get past this heat out west, we will breathe a little bit sigh of relief, especially for our friends in the eastern 2/3 that have been just so hot recently. Here's our ridge of high pressure, though, into the Four Corners region. It's a 597 decameter high pressure ridge. Airflow, as you know, around a high pressure system is clockwise. Airflow around a low pressure system is counterclockwise, so just remember that. But here is our high temperatures expected this afternoon, and we're seeing triple digit heat widespread from the Sacramento Valley of California down into Arizona and southern Nevada. 90s, yes, I understand that it's hot in the plains, but not as hot as we've been. And as we go through the rest of this week, we're going to see the heat building further north into the Pacific Northwest here, like Seattle, Portland, Eugene, and Medford, getting here into parts of the Reno, into Nevada. We're going to be seeing some heat there. And then once we get into the weekend, watch the cold front start to make its way into the United States. 60s for highs for a widespread variety into the upper Midwest on Saturday, August 23rd. Sunday, August 24th, 50s perhaps for highs near Lake Superior. And then as we go into early next week, I mean, forget about it. We're seeing a fall-like air mass across the United States with some heat out west and some heat down here toward the Gulf Coast. But other than that, a much cooler air mass. Even at night, right? So as we're cooling off during the day, we're going to get much cooler at night. So here we go. Saturday morning on August 23rd, seeing 40s, upper 40s, low 50s for the low temperatures there starting off the day on Saturday. Record warmth starting off the day in the 60s and 70s across the west, even some 90s down here near Phoenix. And then as we go into Sunday, watch the cold front, right? We're going to get a few degrees cooler by Sunday morning and dropping that further to the south. Monday morning, we could be talking some patchy frost up there into northern Minnesota near the western shoreline of Lake Superior. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, that looks to be the coolest up there into the Arrowhead of Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and much of the upper peninsula of Michigan, especially in any valleys or if you're closer to the lake. We could be seeing some scattered instances of frost and freezes even up across portions there of the far upper Great Lakes region and the far upper Midwestern region. So be prepared for that. In that transition, as that front is making its way south from Canada into the United States, it will be bringing some severe weather in dark green. That's where isolated severe weather will be possible. Main area into the eastern Dakotas and Minnesota, but also some pop-up storms that could be severe back into northeastern Wyoming, also southern Arizona today. Going into tomorrow, much more widespread area of some isolated severe weather coverage from Lake Superior and the upper peninsula of Michigan through Wisconsin, parts of Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, into South Dakota, northern Kansas, and then stretching back toward Wyoming and into Colorado. And then once we get to Saturday, the severe weather threat will be lessening because we're going to see that cooler air moving into the United States, and that will begin to bring more stable conditions versus versus instability to the United States. So let's look at the central United States view over the next few days. As we always do, we'll start with the central United States. We'll go to the eastern U.S. second and the western U.S. third. Through the day today, we could be seeing some isolated showers and storms. A few of them could be severe, 60 to 70 mile per hour caliber winds up into eastern Dakotas and northwestern Minnesota. An isolated tornado threat possible as well. A lot of those storms will be into the late afternoon, evening, and overnight time frame. Some locally heavy downpours could accompany these storms too. Starting the day off on Friday, cold front is making its way into the upper Midwest, and as it does so, ahead of it, we could be seeing some scattered showers and a few thunderstorms to start your day. A few of those in the afternoon could pop up and be severe, with 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail being the main threat here. Tornado threat should be less than 2% in all areas here in the central U.S. on Friday. Then going into Saturday, it looks like most of the front comes through dry, although a couple showers or a pop-up storm may be possible. Saturday severe weather, though, is not expected in the central United States. In the eastern United States here this afternoon on your Thursday, pop-up storms here in the heat of the afternoon, mid to late afternoon, so after 3 o'clock going to around 9 o'clock this evening. We have these pulse-type storms. They develop with the heat of the afternoon as the sun is, really going to work and warming the earth, and then once the sun sets, we're going to see stability, and the boundary layer, which is where we live, is going to stabilize. So that means we're going to see those storms really start to decrease in coverage and intensity overnight. Again, especially after 9 o'clock this evening. Once we start the day on Friday, again, the cycle will continue. We'll have another day of potential afternoon, evening showers and storms, mainly confined to portions of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, parts of the low country of South Carolina as well. And then we'll repeat that process yet again, maybe a little bit more widespread, though, with showers and storms once we get to Saturday. And also watching some storms up there into our friends to the north. Quebec and Ontario could be seeing some storms, even near Toronto and Montreal, once we go into Saturday night. Keeping an eye on that. Western United States in the afternoon, we are definitely seeing some showers and storms here as we have a big high pressure ridge across the west. We mentioned at the beginning of the video, the high pressure systems have clockwise airflow. So to the north, we're going to be seeing these storms move from west to east. Underneath of the high pressure, storms are going to be moving from east to west. That's just the flow of the air around the high pressure. And we're just going to have daily occurrences of this across either the Rockies or the desert Southwest. Some of that rainfall could bend westward into Nevada and eastern California once we get into Saturday. Now, here's the rainfall across the United States through 7 a.m. on Sunday morning, August 24th. And notice it's pretty sporadic there from portions of the upper Midwest back toward the desert Southwest. Heaviest storm track will be favored up here into Ontario and Quebec and southeastern Canada, but also into the southeast areas there into southeastern Alabama, the Peach State of Georgia, down here into Florida, and the low country of South Carolina. We could be seeing 1 to 3 inches worth of rain, and some of this could be generous. We could see some pockets of more than 3 inches of rain if you get more storms over a short period of time that could drop some heavier rainfall. So watch out for flooding. Again, turn around, don't drown, never drive on a flooded roadway. That's for sure. Now, going into next week, Monday, August 25th through Friday, August 29th, we're going to be seeing a big time trough across the northeastern United States and Great Lakes region, and that will be a reinforcing shot of some cooler air from Canada down into the eastern 2/3 of the United States. Big ridge, though, is developing out across western Canada, British Columbia, Alberta, and then stretching down into the Pacific Northwest, and that will bring some warmer air as we go through next week. Again, Monday, August 25th through Friday, August 29th, and again, another reinforcing shot of some cooler air across the eastern 2/3, and that reinforcing shot is going to be drier air too. We mentioned how Canadian high pressure systems bring a lot of drier air, and that is going to come to fruition, especially next week. Lots of sunshine from the upper Midwest through the Ohio Valley towards the Mid-Atlantic. A little bit of rainfall here into the Northeast, especially Maine, but the main storm track will be shoved down to the south and west. Areas from the desert Southwest and Four Corners region into the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley will be seeing above normal precipitation, and some folks even well above normal precipitation going into next week. So northwest flow, we're going to have daily chances of showers and storms from the front range of the Rockies down there into the southern plains, or what you guys would call the Red River Valley, into the lower Mississippi Valley region. That will continue as we go through the Friday, August 29th timeframe, and you can see some heavier rains could result from that, again, mainly favoring the south central United States and areas here into Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and from the Texas Panhandle taking a run into North Texas. Could be seeing some pockets here of a few inches of rainfall, and if you get a lot of this in a short amount of time next week, this could cause problems as far as flooding is concerned, regardless of how dry you've been as of recently. So we'll be definitely keeping an eye on that. Now, long-range forecast into early September, or September 1st through the 8th, we're going to be seeing a signal here in the long-range guidance that has a big-time trough across the Pacific Northwest and a ridge building in the eastern United States. Now, typically in the springtime, this would spell out trouble for significant severe weather. In the fall, it can as well. We'll have to keep an eye on the strength of this trough that's across the Pacific Northwest as it moves in and how it acts across the west. Does it kind of eject into the plains, or does it kind of sit out west? And we have features of these series of disturbances that move across portions of the central United States. The temperatures are going to be much warmer along the Mississippi Valley once we get into the first week there of September. A little bit cooler out west. You can see that with the European model guidance is very, very wet, actually, back across the Midwest. So that could spell out the chance for severe weather if that trough, and depending on the strength of it, if it ejects across the Midwest, we could be talking about some problems as far as severe weather is concerned there in early September. The GFS ensemble guidance, the extended range, is looking a little drier in the Midwest, and it actually keeps that trough further to the west and kind of locked in over the Pacific Northwest. The reason for that is because the trough on the GFS ensemble is a lot weaker than the one that's on the European ensemble extended range. So we'll keep an eye on that as we get closer. Of course, we'll keep you updated as we get into early September. Now let's look at how active the Atlantic Basin is. We have Hurricane Erin that just continues to remain a hurricane there across the Northwest Atlantic. We have another area that has a 70% chance of development right behind that looks to be a fish storm. And let's look at the latest track on Hurricane Erin. This system is at 100 miles per hour, moving north-northeast, picking up speed as well. North-northeast to 18 miles per hour, likely to remain a hurricane there through your Saturday and before becoming a post-tropical cyclone or an extra-tropical cyclone there after that. We do have tropical storm warnings up for the mid-Atlantic coastline, including the Outer Banks of North Carolina, up there through coastal Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, all the way up there into central Jersey. So keeping an eye on some tropical storm force conditions that may be arising from the system. And one of those will be storm surge. Now, it's not going to be extreme. We're not going to see Cat 5 storm surge, but there will be some areas along the coastline that see 1 to 3, as much as even 4-foot storm surge. And if you don't know what storm surge is, it's water over normally dry ground. So if you have a beach area that has sand and you have 4 feet of water on it, well, that would be storm surge. So that is likely most to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, but even 1 to 3 foot storm surge as far north as even Long Island. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as we go through the weekend ahead. Behind that system, we actually have another system developing potentially, and that could become named the F name. That would be Fernand, and has a 70% chance of development. But notice the cone there from the National Hurricane Center curving that out more to sea. May have impacts in Bermuda. We'll have to keep an eye on that in the long term, but something we're keeping an eye on there moving forward over the next 7 days. There's the beast of Hurricane Erin into the Northwest Atlantic, causing some problems closer to home. There's another couple of tropical waves behind that we definitely, like we mentioned, have to watch. There have been a lot of upwellings, though, in the Southwest Atlantic. Cooler waters here, as you have typically with a Category 4 hurricane. You get some really big upwelling with the cooler waters underneath the surfaces of the top of the water, and they kind of churn up. And that's what happens with these bigger systems. And notice here, Hurricane Erin is not done, right? We have still that tropical storm force wind field that's going to be moving up the mid-Atlantic coast towards Cape Cod as well, and just south of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. So we'll keep our eyes to the sky, to our friends to the north in Canada as well for this system, but it should pass mainly to the south. Hurricane force winds are going to stay well offshore, but you can see the wave heights here, right? This is why we have the storm surge, because we have some bigger waves. Breakers out here near the eye wall could be up to 50 feet, so that is very troublesome. So hopefully no boaters out there. But as we go through the weekend, we're going to start to see increasing wave heights Friday into Saturday for Nova Scotia. Could be seeing wave heights crashing along the shore there of southern Nova Scotia around 10-15 feet. And then Newfoundland by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday, again, 10-15 feet there as well. Here's the track of what Fernand, if it does develop, would go just along and east of Bermuda. So this could end up being a fish storm. This could impact Bermuda, but nonetheless, it does look to curve out way to sea, well out to sea compared to where Aaron went. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. East Pacific, there is some active weather on the horizon. Nothing too crazy right now. It's very quiet in the East Pacific, and it has been over the past week or two. There is a signal in the ensemble guidance. Here's the European ensemble guidance and showing a tropical storm, maybe even a low-end hurricane developing over the next 7 days. You can see that here on the GFS ensemble. It's a little bit further south and weaker, but notice here the National Hurricane Center does have a low-end 30% chance of development there just into the Eastern Pacific Basin. So something we'll keep an eye on over the next few days. That is for sure. And there is some warm water here. So if the system can get going, it could get strong rather quickly, even in the East Pacific Basin. We are above the long-term historical average with our water temperatures over here as well. Just like the Atlantic, the East Pacific in some spots is pretty warm too. So we'll be keeping an eye on any system that develops. Now the long-range tropical outlook does look favorable for the East Pacific to light up there in early September. So this may not be the last system. There will be more systems developing in the East Pacific, and then they'll take the run toward the Central Pacific. So we have to watch the Hawaiian Islands as we go into the second week of September. No reason to panic, obviously, but just something to watch as we go into September in the East and Central Pacific Basin. Thank you all for watching. I know that was a long video, a lot to get to here. I don't just do the tropics. I do across southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics here. So make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, like the video, and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media, and post any comments, questions, and concerns that you have in the comment section down below this video. I'm here 24/7, all day, all night to answer any and all comments, questions, and concerns that you may have. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for the support, and have a wonderful and safe rest of your Thursday.